Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another one of our series, Breaking Down Barriers, which is inspired by my book, Breaking Down Barriers, A Journey from a Small African Village to the World Stage, where I take you through some of my philosophies, ideas, and thoughts. And they're wrapped around these particular conversations that I'm having with you, which I hope you're taking away and you're assessing and deciding how they impact your life. Why am I wearing this t-shirt, which I had on before? Well, this is one of those aspects which I think are really important for us and for you as a thing to remember. Now, basically, Seeds of Hope was an idea that was inspired through one of the programs that I went on, programs in the sense of a personal development and training program. I talked before about the 3% Club, which was created by Bob Proctor and Mark Victor Hansen, prolific coaches, trainers, mentors in the US. And I've known Bob for a long time. He passed away a couple of years ago or so, and Mark Victor Hansen as well, who I've had less contact with, but interchanged with him about a year ago or so. So prolific individuals, and created this idea of them wanting to help us to achieve what we wanted. A snapshot of which maybe is this series of videos that I'm doing for you is what is it that you aspire to and how can you get there, and how can my knowledge, insights and wisdom help you get there. So they brought their collective minds together, brought a lot of amazing people to speak, train us, coach us, workout groups, you name it, and this was all in the US. I use that as a backdrop to say that when you go to these events, and I've been to hundreds around the world, you're pumped up. These are not specifically motivational events, not like a Tony Robbins or a Les Brown, motivational speakers. You know, Tony Robbins has amazing programs and he's done phenomenal things and is an amazing individual. But you know, I've seen Tony on stage and he will go 11, 12 hours straight without stopping. He has incredible energy. You're pumped up, you're powered up, and I've done the fire walk as well, because you know, you're just so energized and pumped up and you do it. That is great. And what transpired, which I think is a good example for us to bear in mind, is when you are very pumped up, when you are very motivated, you're in that zone, as it were. And in the room, for example, which I was in several visits, like I said, to the US in the 3% Club and others, we came up, a group of us, we were about 10, I think, or 15, with an idea of what is it that each of us wanted to leave on this planet? What would be our legacy we'd look back on? And one of the things that was really important, that's still really important to me, which is partly what this is about, is education, feeding as many mouths as we can, and children. So education, feeding people, and children. For me, those are very much my fundamental focus. If there was something I could do around all that, that's what I would do. And so others came together, and I guess we had a synergy around that. So we all decided we'd start something. So we started this particular program. Now, unfortunately, whilst the idea was great, not everybody, once you leave that room and leave that environment, and we all headed off in our different directions. Yes, we decided to create t-shirts. Yes, we decided to, I'm a founding member, as you can see, Seeds for Hope, founding member. So those of us, 10 or 15 of us, we were the founding members, and we felt we were going to drive this forward and make a big change in the world. Now, I don't know about the others. We lost direction, we lost track. I can't remember who they are, but I was motivated. For me, this was an idea that needed to be birthed, needed to be created. So my question for you around that is, and it went nowhere. So we all bought lots of t-shirts. We had them made, small, medium, large, and I've ended up giving some away and of course keeping some for myself. My point here is that when you are in an environment where everybody's pumped up and motivated and you have an idea, it's very difficult when you come out of that environment to continue to motivate and drive yourself forward, either on your own, let alone with a group. And for me, this is an example that I continue to use in my mind. So whenever I put this on, whenever I look at it, I think to myself, if I am committed to doing something, I don't ever want to let myself down, and certainly not let anybody else down around me. So I want to use this for you to say, look, if you have an idea, realize firstly that you may be the only one who shares that idea, but you have to be driven from the inside with a passion that is going to help you birth it, create it, develop it, and move it along to wherever it needs to be. Yes, bring other people on to support you, other people who are going to see your vision, your idea, your thought, because that is so important. So on the one hand, in any environment like that, I've bought books. I have books that I bought in large quantities because I felt that I was going to be able to share them with other people, but which I never did. This is stuff that I learned. This is very early in my personal development and growth stages. So I know that when you're in that place, you think this is great, this is wonderful to do, but then you lose track. You lose the energy, you lose the passion, you lose the drive, which is why it's so important to own this from the inside out. Once you own it, you claim it for yourself, you desire to change something, then go after it. Make yourself absolutely unstoppable. Because quite frankly, at the end of the day, not many people are going to necessarily be there for you. That's just the reality of the world we live in. Look at some of those businesses that have been created from nothing to where they are today. Do you think it was easy? Of course not. It was a real struggle. It was a real challenge. Sometimes your best friends don't believe you. Sometimes your family don't believe you. And that's a big case. Families generally, it's hard to find a family that says, yeah, go do that. I mean, especially entrepreneurially, you might say, go to school, go to university, college, get trained, do this, get a proper job like everybody else does. But you know that you are different. You know that you have something else. You know that your path is left. It is not right. It is not the middle. Just because that's what your parents did doesn't mean and require that you do it. So how can you break out of that? How do you break out of those chains? Well, honestly, there is no easy path. There is no easy path. Firstly, it's got to be right up here in your mind, where you are absolutely committed to whatever it is that's driving and motivating you. The second is it's got to be here. It's got to be in your heart. It's got to be in your soul. Because those two linked together are what are going to get you over the line and over the barrier. We live in a world, sadly, where we talk about community, and yes, community is important. Absolutely. It's critical, in fact, it's foundational. Coming from Africa, we live in small villages, we live in communities, we live in compounds, as we call them, where the family is all together. Not just in Africa, in Asia and other countries like that, where community is still very important. It is. It is fundamental. Community and family, for me, are foundational. But the point I want to leave you with is, just because you have a best friend, just because you have an amazing family, just because you have an incredible idea, vision, whatever, does not mean that the path is going to be easy and straightforward. Quite the contrary. And to be honest, it's good. It's good that you have to battle through these things. Because if it was easy, yeah, maybe you'd start the business or the activity or the project and you'd go for, like with my t-shirt, you'd go for a week, you'd go for a month. We had calls with that group I mentioned earlier on. We'd have every 2 weeks, okay, what are we doing? Who's doing what? How are we going? What's the vision? What's the objective? Which countries? Who are we going to bring in to support us? We went for a few months, don't get me wrong. But then it all fizzled out because life, as they say, got in the way. Everybody went back to their own homes, their own life, their own way of doing. And I felt that I was one of the only ones, if not the few, who just wanted to continue doing this. And inevitably, I had to move on and do other things. And like I say, we all bought the t-shirts and we're going to spread the word, as it were. So I got my t-shirts, very happy, but nothing happened. So it's really important that you do drive through that struggle mentally, physically, and emotionally to come out the other side with whatever it is that you want to do. It should not be easy. And I say that honestly, because if it's easy, then after a while, you'll get bored. You might want to develop something bigger, or you may just be a serial entrepreneur, a serial creator of ideas. That's great, but they still have to go somewhere. So I just want you to think about that in the context of what idea have you come up with individually or as a team? And how are you going to make that stronger and stronger and stronger? Knowing that individuals will always have their own challenges in life. That's normal, that's part of it. So who are the ones who are going to help you through that process? There are always people around. Maybe it's just you and someone else. Many companies have been developed around that. But equally, that journey may last only so long because that other person or you decide to go on and do other things, or the business doesn't really come together quite the way you want it. So whatever it happens to be, give it some thought. Know already, so this is my warning to you, know already it is going to be a challenge. But embrace the challenge, because once you get out the other side, you can go, I'm so glad I did that. Look at what I've learned. Look at who I've become. Look at what I've achieved. Nobody can take that away from you. You own it. It is yours. So until the next time, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I look forward to continuing with you on this journey and exploring other ideas. And I wish you a wonderful time until we meet again. Thank you.